Howdy folks, I have another kit review. This one's from Trumpeter. It's a 1/35 scale. I'm going to call it the BR52 because that's the translation for English. It's easy, but don't ask me how you try and pronounce that. I ain't going to do that, so I'm going to call it the BR52. As I said, it is for my upcoming diorama. I've already built 2 pieces so far, so if you wish to go back and check them out. So yeah, let's take a look what we get inside this box. As you see, it's an extremely large box. It's got tons of parts in it. We have this side of the box. That's the train I'll probably end up doing. I do like that, like splinter camouflage effect. It's not German grey, but they call it for German field grey, which is a little bit lighter. This splinter camouflage, they call that for the German yellow, which is RML79. May do it in that colour. I may do it in a light grey, but we shall see. It's 2007 kit, so it's not that old. Also, on this side of the box, you can do probably one of the most famous versions. Is probably the charcoal grey, black colour with the red. I do like that as well, but I want to do the splinter version. There's some dimensions and history of the kit and the train and stuff. I can't really see a kit number for this one. Oh yes I can. It's there, 00210. As I say, it's a massive box. Trying to get this in camera, pretty difficult. We've just dropped some paperwork. So it's loaded with plastic and paperwork, stuffed with styrene. This is pretty cool. I'll talk about this thing in a minute. I did buy some aftermarket ballast for coal, so it roughly fits the scale. And I did buy an aftermarket set for Edard that goes inside the cab for extra detailing, because I want to add lights as well inside the cab for flicker effect for where the firebox is, so I will talk about that. But let's take a closer look at this. So like as always, we start with the instructions. So typical Trumpeter is their black and white version. Looks like photocopies, that's how they do it. It doesn't really matter. You've got your symbols for what you need to be aware of. A little bit of warning, but nothing too difficult. There is going to be 35 steps, so it's going to be a little bit of a lengthy video. So everything within the kit, all your sprue, you get your base, but I don't like using that. 2 sets of tracks, more. This is vinyl. I will talk about that. I will probably replace it with jeweler wire or lead wire. As I say, I will get to that. First step is building your base and your tracks. I'm never a fan of these because the way it goes together, you've got to try and tidy up these seam lines, and it's just a pain in the arse in my opinion. The better track goes together nicely, but it's simple. Adding your attachments for your track if you wish to do it that way. Now you're working on the DR52 itself, so lower chassis, rails, and then you've got the supports inside, which is part of your axle assembly. You have this parts here as well, and then you've got suspension arms, leaf springs type assembly, and you've got these pieces here are your bump stops. More detailed parts. Now we are working on part of the framing to hold the boiler tank, part of the firebox maybe, I'm not 100% sure on that, so just be careful. This looks like part of the bumper, some air tanks possibly. I'm not 100% sure on this vehicle, so anyone knows about this train, feel free to comment what parts are if I get it completely wrong. We have these pieces here, we have these segments on the side, which has like kind of piston that allows the train to go attached to its wheels to allow it to go round. This is part of the firebox and inside the cab. This is what this is for more detail, because you don't get no decals, you don't get no dials, none of that. So what I want to do to it is I want to detail it up a little bit more. In the center here, where you got this D shape and this piece here, is the firebox. So I want to build a square box behind it, cut this out, cut this piece out as well because it's all just sealed in. Put some coal in there, a light which flickers slightly so it looks like it's burning some coal, and then obviously detail it with the metal parts so it should look nicely. But if you're going to build it standard out the box, you just add a few parts here and there. And my reference picture I have, this looks really plain and there's a lot of stuff missing. But if you are doing it out the box, it is sufficient. But if you want to go all out and get it right, then you're going to have to go out the detail set, because the detail set also comes with parts for your window. So that this being glued in, you can have the windows open or closed and stuff like that. The floor is going to be like a wooden texture, I imagine. And then you've got your side walls, your door, more dials and stuff. These parts are fine. And then putting your firebox piece in, touching doors and windows, the back plate which is left open, touching your roof. I built the roof but I won't attach it because obviously I want it visible so people can see inside. This is part of the main boiler section, I believe. Here's the main tube and boiler. This is probably where I house the batteries as well for the lights that is going on this as well. This segment here, I didn't work out what it was, but further reference that where sand goes, and that's what these pipes are for. When I get to it, is to do with sand going onto the track for traction. Some more piping and detail parts here, attaching the cab to the boiler, attaching the whole tyre frame to the lower frame. Turn it upside down, you've got a couple of lumps and bumps to go on, a couple of pipes. Turn it back over, add in these parts here and the rods. And then it comes to this vinyl piece, which is here, which is dispenses sand onto the track so the train can get traction. But a lot of people have talked about this being troublesome and they have issues with it sticking and it's not very good. So they've opted for using jeweler wire or lead wire. But the good thing about it is behind it has a template so you can follow it and get the shapes right, which is a nice touch. Bear in mind, because the train has a curve to the boiler and it goes down and then flat and then it goes down to the side of the train, you don't want to do it you don't want to do it to the same scale. You always want to go a little bit longer because of the curvature of the train, and you can cut it off at the end. Some more detail parts. These look like the brakes, and then you're working on part of the wheels now, and you've got the attachment for the counterweights for the wheel. So it looks like we have 5 aside, so it's 10 wheels in total, and 2 little road wheels or guide wheels or whatever you want to call them. Underside is boarding ladders and structural plates. These probably would be photo etch if you bought another detail set for it, but I've just got the basic cab set. Now we are working on, don't know what this piece is for, but it sits here at the side of the train. I'm 100% sure what these parts are for. Brackets. Turning the train back over again, we have one of the main arms going on, and we have this piece here as well on the side of the train. We've got a piece here, more arms, just general detail parts, and then we have the sidewalk and the handrails. We have a toolbox going in, which sits in the middle. We have some dials, some more walkways. Turning the train back over again. There's a lot of backwards and forwards by flipping the train over, so you might want to look at some parts and then do it all bottom and then work your way on the top. It all depends, instead of going backwards and forwards, because all the time you keep flipping the train up and over, you could potentially break parts. So again, we've got more piping, and these parts here is actually lights, but they I have looked already in this kit to see if I could modify them to put proper lights in there, and it looks like these could be changed to a light with LEDs, but it's running the wire so it can't be seen. These might be tricky to do, so I might just stick with the front lights, rear lights, and the firebox just for lights. And then we have the towing section, which is all the clamps for hooking up carriages and stuff. And then we have a light on the front, which I will change for LED bulb, support brackets. We have the front plate. Now we have an optional part here, so you can have it like this with a light on the front or without. And then again, it's optional. You don't have to have these side armor plates, I imagine, but looking at the plastic parts, they're actually made of wood and it's got a metal frame. Now this section here is a little carriage on the back which houses the coal section, so it's a little coal carriage thing. So working on arms, the wheels and the side rails, it is a 5 piece wheel assembly, so 5 sets of wheels. And then the suspension arms, which is leaf springs. And then we have the frame, which is sides, front, rear and top, some hatches. And then the actual box itself, which houses the coal. This is moulded as plastic and it is textured for coal. But what I want to do is use the coal bag that I bought, which is here. So it gives it more detail and it looks like coal. So instead of painting it and try to replicate it. The door is closed, it is moulded closed. I would like to have it open, but further inspection, trying to cut that shape out without messing it up, it'd be a little bit tricky. So I'm just going to leave it closed. We have support brackets and this box type assembly, another toolbox type thing I imagine this is. We have this ring that goes around the box itself. Don't forget to add the supports around the leading edge. These are optional again, you don't have to use them, but these are wooden planks. We have this support piece here, and then attaching that box to the lower chassis, pretty simple. Some piping to run on the bottom, the bumpers and toe clamps, and these hoses. Again, I'll probably replace them with proper hose, and then attaching your back carriage to your main train, and that's ready for paint. But if you're doing it red and black, you want to paint it in stages. Mine's just all grey with this splinter camouflage, so I'll probably just, hopefully I could build it and then do it afterwards. As for the two paint schemes, like I say, you get the charcoal grey with the red, or you get the German grey, or German field grey even, with the yellowish splinter camouflage, which is the one I want to do because I do like this. So I'm going to grab the parts in no particular order. I'm just going to grab them from the top of the box and work my way down, and we'll take a look what they are and how good it looks in detail wise. I may get parts wrong because I say I'm not a train expert or anything, so I don't know what all parts are. So this very large sprue is part of the boiler. So we have this large piece It's amazing how Trumpeter managed to pull these large pieces off and maintain the detail. They're really good at doing that. We have these main cylinder boiler pieces, either down to the bolts or rivets. Just nicely done. Giant support bracket. So this is sprue B, and obviously loads of ejector pins on the inside, but yeah, I wouldn't worry about them. You're never going to see any of them. But this is nicely done. Next bag contains the little bogey system at the back, which has the coal. This is that coal piece I was on about. So we have the rails, and there's two of those, obviously left and right, very nicely done. We have this part piece here, which is a support piece, detail parts. Here's that textured effect for the coal. It looks okay, but I obviously want to use modelling railway coal, just give it that better look. We have this piece, we have the side structural parts, and this is sprue H. We have sprue J, which is more structural side rails for the little carriage piece at the back. Again, nicely detailed. We have the bumpers, some leaf springs. Here's that giant piece of piping and one of the rods, so just be careful taking this off the sprue so you don't snap it. A couple of doors, but this gives you the rough scale just for the carriage piece at the back, plus the train. You're probably looking well over a metre or something, maybe. Here is the lower section of the little carriage piece at the back. So it's definitely a large scale. This isn't just the main train without any carriages on the back. So once I've built this, plus the carriages are one on the back of it, which is two gondolas, flatbeds, and high gondolas and low gondolas, I'm probably looking at near on 6-7 feet long, just in one train setup alone. So here's one of the main bases. The walls sit into these slots. Here's the door to the coal room. I'd say trying to cut this shape out to have it open is a little tricky, maybe, because this slope goes down to where the coal is, and the coal sits inside this slope. I would like to have the door open, but I don't think I'll be able to pull it off. These circle pieces go together, which make up, this goes around this assembly. This piece is one of the floors, some more piping, and this is the part of the lower deck, so is this. So this is sprue K. So here we have two sprue Gs. This is all detail parts for the underside, suspension, wheels, piping, that kind of thing. So I'll say there's two of these, and there's G. So we have the little wheel at the front, even though it's not little on this kit, it's still a big wheel. Support piece, here are those boxes for where the pistons come out of. Loads of detail parts all up here, leaf springs, brakes, little handles for inside the cab for turning things on and off. The more detail parts all the way across. Here's one of the main wheels and the counterweight. A couple of ejector pins on the inside of stuff, but That you won't worry about because I think it sits inside this, so you're not going to see it. But nicely done. I've got a giant bag here. This looks like the cab, front of part of the train and the chassis. Inside cab floor, I was right, it was wood textured. So this is sprue C, and so here's inside the cab. It is wooden floor texture, and obviously there are 5 boxes here. So I want to build a square behind the main piece, which is this. So I want to cut this piece out. This piece goes over the front, and this needs to be cut out because I need to replace it with a photo etch door, which will be open, so you can see the 5 box flickering. Here's the roof again. I will build it up, but I'll leave it not attached. Here's one of the bulkheads. Here's the back of the bulkhead. Here's the main door of the train at the front. I may have this detachable as well, because I may use that for the entry for the battery box. We shall see. So we have this detail piece on top. This goes inside the cab, where levers go and stuff for opening stuff. See, these are the dials. They are moulded, but there's no decals. So you're going to have to end up painting them yourself if you don't have the aftermarket set. Some detail parts here, some grab handles. These parts go on top of the train. This piece here is that box, it holds the sand. As I say, in the main piece for the inside the cab of the control panel and firebox area. These are the side of the cab, I believe, door and some stuff. This giant sprue here is sprue A, the main sprue. So the top section here is the main rail of the vehicle, and the rail itself alone, you're looking at 10, 20, 30, 40, 47 centimeters roughly, just for the train itself, plus the carriage on the back. You're looking at nearly 60 centimeters, about 60 centimeters. So it's a big vehicle, big train even. Here's the bumpers, walkways, support brackets. Here are those air tanks, I believe. More brackets. These are more brackets, I imagine, of some sort. We have these pieces as well. As I say, I can't remember what these parts are for. I remember these being inside the on top of the chassis, holding the main boiler up. We've got more detailed parts with leaf springs and pipes attached to them. So pretty expressive. Very large sprue, and it's typical Trumpeter's plastic. It's the really thick stuff. Okay folks, these pieces here are the main train track pieces. These are standard for all train kits from Trumpeter, so nothing fancy. You've seen these before. We have another bag here. We have sprue D, and this is some large pieces. These are more brackets to hold the boiler up at the front. Can't remember what these were for, but we have loads of detail parts. We have this piece here as well, go together. Here's one of the toolboxes. More piping. Structural part here as well, pipes again. There's a lot of fragile parts on this, so you just have to be careful. When it comes to build this kit, it's going to being in several parts, because there's no way I could do this as one build video. Far too complex. The walkways are nicely done. It has that diamond textured all the way across them, and they are raised. You can. So it's nicely done. It'll take a nice wash and weathering. Another toolbox. Well, some of the main arms for the train. These are the main arms as well. Nicely that these are moulded in one piece, unlike the first train I've done. The WR360, I believe it was. They were separate parts and you had to glue them together. A little bit fiddly. Some more piping or grab rails. No, they're not bent out of shape or anything. They are designed to have that slight curve into them. They are designed to be like that. Got a couple of bags here. These are those armoured plates at the front of the train. These are optional. Again, there are two types that I've seen in real reference pictures are proper armoured metal plates, or you get these ones that they give you within the kit which are made of wood. I'm going to use the ones out of the kit. So again, structural parts. These are those plates. They're not bad, they are pretty good. They haven't got any ejector pins on them. More piping. Some more brakes. So these are those armoured shields at the front of the train. Being made of wood, they're probably not going to be very good or not give much protection, I can't imagine. Being moulded double-sided is nice, but again, a tiny little bit of flash there, that's not a problem. But it's nice they've done it without any ejector pins. I'm going to say this is sprue Q. 2 sprues in this with the main wheels and just general running gear assembly parts, and these are F. So we'll quick look at these ones as well. So there's 2 of those. As I say, these are sprue F. So you've got. So yeah, it was 10 wheels, 10 of your main wheels. This part of the piston assembly, leaf springs again, more of the rods. These could be pins of some sort. Counterweights. Can't remember what these were for, but it's nicely done. Hopefully this is the last bag. There's 2 boxes. I'm not sure what's in those. We'll get to it. So again, 2 of these sprues. These are more road wheels, or not road wheels, but the little wheels for the train. And this is sprue M. So we have the main axles here, grab handles, detail parts. These are the bump stops. More leaf springs, more detail parts. This looks like a ladder of some sort, could be totally wrong on that. These are those wooden support pieces that go around your box where the coal is. Again, we have these small wheels. These wheels are for the little carriage at the back where the coal is. Some more doors. I imagine this sprue is to do with the that little carriage thing at the back. And the last 2 pieces, we have this box of parts, and this is basically the bed. Pretty standard stuff. I'm not going to use these, so they're just going to go into recycling. But we have this other box as well of parts. They give you this giant box and it's got a couple of parts in it. Nice they give it a separate box, but there's no need to give it that big of a box. So we have some decals underneath here. So let's have a quick butcher of what we got. So I don't know how well you can see that on camera. They are printed in white. You have the German eagle type symbol. You see in the centre, there is no swastika, because obviously countries don't allow it anymore, and it's just a bad symbol in general. So they just go on with diamonds. I'm okay with that. But if you wish to do it legitly or change it, you're going to have to source it yourself. I've got no issues with it being like that. A little bit of photo etch. Pass what these parts are for. These are just like support brackets, some kind of cog, and pretty standard clear windows. These are going to be no problem at all because they're completely flat, so flat clear is generally crystal clear anyway, and I find Trumpeter clear parts are pretty good anyway, so these should be no problem. As I say, it's a giant box for tiny parts. So there you are, my friends. There's another kit from Trumpeter. It's a 135 scale BR52 large train. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you later.